Hello, pool players. I want to do a video today about how we learned this game and how we evolved to the level that we're trying to achieve. And I want to give you my story. And it's a no-nonsense story. There's going to be no sugarcoating here. I'm going to tell you how it is as to how you get good at this game. And I'm not saying I'm good at this game because we never are good at this game. We want to stay humble because we're always learning. I see so many people that get a little cocky, and then, of course, the next week you see them and they're shooting terrible. And the game can be fickle. It can come and go. Okay, we know that. But I wanted to just lay out some of the things that I feel are the best ways to learn this game at a more rapid pace. You know, when I started this back in February of 2021, it was right after COVID. I got this table, and I decided to really learn this game. I shot it as a kid when I was like 16 years old, but I didn't know what I was doing. I just got on the table, like banging balls around, that type of thing. But the game always intrigued me, but then life got in the way, and I never could really put in the time and effort into the game to learn it. So fast forward to COVID and me retiring, I decided to just focus on this. It was a great thing. It took my mind off things. It gave me something to do in my retirement years. And I could see right away that there was potential to learn this game if you could put in the time. Now, one of the things that I did right away, because I really didn't understand how to learn to play, right? I just threw balls on the table and I just started hitting them. I would break 8-ball racks. I would try to run as many balls. I actually kept track. It's like, oh, can I run this rack? You know, and I'd write down. And it was difficult. I mean, it was hard for me to even pocket 3 shots in a row. It was so bad. And in fact, I got to a point, probably within the first month of playing on this table, that I didn't know if the game was for me, because I would miss the simplest of shots, hit the rail on the way into a corner and rattle the ball in the pocket, not go in. And it was very disheartening that was happening. But what it was is I didn't have a good pool stroke. I didn't understand throw on the object ball when you applied spin. Even when I shot center ball, I didn't understand there was a thing called cut-induced throw. And these are the things that, you know, hindered me from having success early on. So what I did then is I watched a lot of video. Of course, I was watching a lot of video prior to getting the table, because it took me about 3 to 4 months, I believe it was, once I ordered this through Olhausen, to get it delivered and installed. I watched a lot of Efren Reyes. I love that guy. He's so humble and such a great player. I think he's the best ever, really. He is the GOAT. And in watching him play, I was intrigued, you know, on how he could maneuver the cue ball around with what seemed like effortless power. He would get many rails, but it had everything to do with spin. And at the time, I didn't even understand it all. But in watching him, I was so geeked. Once I got my table, I was ready to go. I remember the first day I put in 16 hours on the table. And in that first week, by the end of the week, my shoulder, I'm a right-hander, my left shoulder was so sore I couldn't even go down on a shot. I mean, I was just obsessed with trying to play as much as possible. And I realized I had to back off because my body was becoming wrecked, really. And in time, I will say this, I started to figure things out a little bit on my own, but also by watching YouTube videos, specifically Neil Sfian. I really liked his delivery and what he was talking about. I had watched him in the 80s, well, not in the 80s, maybe it was the 90s, I don't even remember, when he was first coming out. And it was, I think, on ESPN when they shot, put a lot of video format on TV with the pool players. I saw mostly the women, like Allison Fisher, you know, Hall of Famer she is, and others, Guy Young Kim and Zhao Ting Pan and all of them. But I really respected them because they were such masters at the game. So I decided to start watching primarily, like I said, Neil's, and I learned a lot from his channel. I learned about the Mighty X drill, and that was the initial drill that I started to perform that I didn't even know at the time was helping me with my pool stroke. And mentioning pool stroke, I will tell you this, the whole game stems from having a good stroke. So if you're watching this right now and you have anything to take away from this, understand that you must, and I repeat, must develop a repeatable, straight pool stroke. And I have a lot of videos that I cover of not just how to do that, but me and my evolution. You can actually go back in time through my video archive, and you'll see that my stroke wasn't that good early on, but in time, I developed it with a lot of table time and a lot of, and there again, not sugarcoating this takes time to get this right. Because we need to ingrain good habits and get rid of any bad habits that we may have had. It's a difficult thing, but you have to, you know, be able to replace those bad habits with good habits, and the stroke is everything. From there, and I'm surprised, most pool players do not like drills. Now, I'm a drill person, okay, and I was lucky to have met a person on my channel as the channel grew, and that's another story all in itself. I really did not try to build a YouTube channel. It just happened. If you guys want to know about it, you can ask me in the comment section. Pretty interesting for sure. But a person reached out, one of my subscribers, and he's a great player. And I watched him, one of my first impressions of him was he was able to run racks against the 9-ball Ghost. And 9-ball to me was the game of choice because I knew I had to learn how to play good position, and 9-ball seemed to be the best format to do that. 8-ball came later, so I really worked on rotation pool early on. And he reached out to me and he said, you know, there's some shot choices you're not making right. You know, you don't have the ability to apply the spin right. You're not aiming right. You're missing shots because of the spin you're applying. And he was really way ahead of my mindset at that time, but he made sense later as he kind of took me under his wing and he gave me exercises like the spot-to-spot drill. That was one he gave me, and then 9-10 drill, another one. These are all drills that were essential in my growth in the game. So I wanted to really give you, like I say, my evolution. You know, started out kind of like a ship without a rudder, just shooting an 8-ball rack and just trying to, like a straight pull rack basically. Struggled with that, realized my stroke wasn't good, had to get my stroke refined. It was difficult. I had a bad jab stroke, real quick in, and then I'd recoil. You just can't have a repeatable stroke that way. You can't be consistent at all. But I did make good improvements based on what that gentleman had me do. He had me perform these drills I just mentioned, along with a few others, and I started seeing some success. And at that point, he knew that it was time for me to now compete. So this was probably about 6 months into the game. And I did. I met someone that builds pool cues in my area. He's on leagues, and his wife is as well. And I became a member on one of the team leagues. At the same time, I joined a singles league on a 9-foot Brunswick table. There was 5 tables in the billiard hall, Brunswick Gold Crowns. And I like 9-foot tables more than I do 7-footers. I like the 9-footer, and I like the format of being a singles play because I'm the only one that I can let down, let's put it that way. But I went ahead and moved on to the next session, and I actually had some failure, and I realized my billiard stroke, I was in between what I mentioned where I was jabbing versus a nice smooth transition pool stroke. I realized that I had to go back to the drawing board and get the stroke nailed down, because even though I was performing drills and everything else and it was helping my game, it was setting me up to plateau. I knew I could not get any better unless I got the stroke straightened out. And I really poured myself into that, put so many hours into the stroke drills that I developed, as well as others like the Bert Kinnister's Mighty X drill. That is such a great one. And you know, with that, along with the others that I performed myself, and in variations of his exercise, I was able to get my stroke more nailed down. It takes time to really get your stroke in order, I found. Realistically, I'm not sugarcoating. Realistically, I would say a good year for me to maybe a year and a half. I was having trouble really ingraining the changes that I made so that they would be to the point where I could shoot without thought. And that is where I'm at today. Not to scare you, but I have kept track pretty much of my hours on this table, and I'm now coming up on 9,000 hours. That sounds crazy, I know, because when I first heard it takes 10,000 hours to get to that point where you're just starting to learn the game. Kind of a daunting task, right? But I believe it. If you get over 5,000 hours, you're starting to really grasp things. Some people don't have the time. You know, life gets in the way, like I mentioned earlier, and that can be a problem. So what I did realize in building my channel was I needed to show the correct exercises and drills that worked for me so it would help expedite your growth as a player. And that's what you see on my channel. I show you the actual no-nonsense drills. I tell you what it takes to get there and show you and demonstrate these drills so that you too can apply that to your growth in your game. And if you can do that, if you will get there quicker. And never settle for just shooting shots or position shots, that type of thing that you already know, that you're already comfortable with. I think a lot of players struggle with this because they want to feel success. And it's really not about the success. That's the other thing I want to say. It's about the process. Yeah, it's fun to have success, so yeah, you shoot the shots you can always make. But you want to shoot the shots you can't make, because once you master them, your arsenal becomes stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where you'll be unbeatable on the table. So you have to bite off more than you can chew and realize, don't get frustrated. I hear so many players will say, yeah, I tried that, it didn't work for me. I go, how long did you try it? Well, just a couple times, it didn't work. Let me just say this. I have performed some drills where it was just the simplest of tasks to get the cue ball to go around the table to a position. And I have spent months on a specific shot, like an inside running spin shot, where you're cutting a ball at a 30-degree angle and going 3 rails around the table. I wanted to learn that shot. It's a very unusual shot. A lot of players will avoid it. But what I learned was, as I practiced it, when I'd have failure, the failure taught me. I realized you can't overstroke that shot because you squirt the cue ball with deflection and you'll miss the shot. But when you smooth stroke it, the shot goes right in, the ball goes around. It's the spin of the cue ball that gets it to go around the table. So that process of failure, as I was shooting that shot, taught me the reality of what it really took to make it happen. So understand that. When you get into this game and you work on your stroke, you get that nailed down, you start performing drills, understand the drills, it's not about the outcome, it's about the process of getting there. That's where you learn. And if you can get that grasped and not get frustrated from any failure within it, you're going to be greater that much quicker. That's the best thing I can tell you about drills. If you don't like them, there's certain exercises, I call them, that you can perform that are continuation exercises. You'll see that in my videos. My 7 drills that are the ones that I've used. There are many that are continuation exercises. Those are nice because it's basically like a game situation. The cue ball always stays in one place. I'm sorry, it doesn't stay in one place. It always stays where it ends up. And it could be in a different spot on the table, and you're still going to shoot that same shot in and replace the balls and continue without touching the cue ball. That's a continuation drill. That is very, very powerful. I think that continuation exercises, there is a time and place for drills, but there's definitely a time and a place for continuation exercises. I'm a strong believer in them. That has been the most helpful for my game, I will say. Now, once you start, shooting well, have a nice straight, smooth stroke, and you're now starting to get position on the table through those exercises I just mentioned, what you'll then find is as you get into competition, like I mentioned, I was on a 9-foot singles league. I realized there's a lot of mental stuff going on in the game of pool. And luckily, I was able to navigate that, and I had competition that was somewhat balanced with where I was at, and it worked out. But as I started to play in now some tournaments, and I've now played in only 12 tournaments. In fact, last night, just to let you know, I played in a small tournament, only 15 players, went undefeated, didn't go into the loser's side. It was a double elimination. Ended up winning the thing. Couldn't believe it. I haven't competed in any tournaments for just about a year, a little over actually. But all total, I've done 12 tournaments. And I now have taken first place. I actually split 2 of those with the other second place person, or we both were in the finals. We split, got late, you know how it goes. But I did win 5, basically, of the 12. So there again, not to brag, but it's just to show you that hard work pays off. And I will say this. Last night, when I was in that tournament, I played a player that I had played a year and a half ago that had my number. I've played him 3 times, and I never won. And so that psychologically bothered me. And when I saw him come in last night and knew he was playing in this tournament, I was like, oh. But then I thought to myself, if you want to be better, you've got to beat the better players, okay? So I went in with a really good attitude, and lo and behold, I was able to beat him in the first round, or actually it was, I think, my third match, and got him and beat him and got him into the losers bracket. And he worked through that and came up, and then guess who I played in the finals? That person. And that was really a battle. The first game we played, we had a safety battle. It was 8-ball, and he's a smart player, and he's a great player. I think he's a 550, 60 player. Fargo, he's a really good player. You can't mess around with those kind of players because they can run out at any time. So it worked out. Long story short, I ended up defeating him and got the win for the overall tournament, which was so cool. But this isn't about me, this is about you. But this is the stuff I just talked about. If you can come up and do the things I just said, straight stroke, got to get that down, nailed down. Pool drills, work on shots you're not comfortable with until they become your go-to shots, okay? And then competition, that's the mental side of this game. You have to be able to shoot against players on leagues. That's a great way, because I remember heartbeat was just a pitter-patter in the first time I ever shot. And you have to know how to control that. I will say this too, I'm going to give a plug for my buddy Neil Sfian. Once again, I watched his channel in the early days. I respect that guy, he's a world-class player. And he has an online set of courses, and one of the courses that I took from him, and it was very inexpensive, I don't know what it costs today, but it was still very inexpensive. It was under $100, and that was the mental aspect of preparing yourself for competition, as well as preparing yourself for competition while you're in competition. In other words, when you're sitting at your chair waiting for your inning, preparing yourself mentally, and then handling yourself the way you need to win, okay? And that was very beneficial. And in fact, I applied it again last night in that tournament. I've applied that several times where I've played stronger players, and it has helped me win. So mental aspect, you can't say enough about it. You'll know as you get to a certain level, it becomes more about that than anything else, because by the time you get to the point where you're running racks, and I'm to that point now, it then becomes everything up here between our ears. And if you can settle yourself down and be comfortable and not play because of that person's ability, play because of your ability. You just put them out of your mind, block them out of your mind, because when you're at the table, you have control of your destiny. Okay, the only defense you have against that player is what you're doing there while you're on the table. I think of these things. I think of making a nice, smooth transition pool stroke. That's it. Because I've ingrained my fundamentals. I've ingrained how I step into the shot. I ingrained all of the pre-shot routine. And when I'm playing in competition, you may see me on my table sometimes get a little lazy, and we shouldn't do that, really. We really should not do that. But try to shoot with all the fundamentals, like your pre-shot, getting into the shot line, smooth stroke transition. You don't want to jab at the ball like I used to, and all of that stuff. And if you can do that, you will ingrain those things to the point where you're shooting without thought. And that's where we want to be. It then becomes just focus. Focus on not all those little things within our mechanics, but focus on our shot and how we're going to gain position and commit to it. Treat every shot. If it's a straight in shot and you're like here and here, I'm going to treat that shot just like I'm going to treat a shot that's cut way up into that corner, okay? You have to do that. It's that important. You'll know because, and in fact, you may have already recognized this because you shot shots that were so simple, and then you're walking back to your chair because you just gave another inning to your opponent. And you say, why did I miss that? I never miss that. Because you didn't take it serious. You have to take every shot serious and focus every bit. Because there's a fine line. If you just drop focus for a second, hit the point on the side pocket, ball doesn't go in, rattles, whatever, we've all had it happen. And it's just that important, the mental aspect of this game. Okay, I'm not going to go too much farther into this. I just wanted to cover 3 basic things. Our stroke, drills, I think are essential, and competition. Those 3 things in that order will get you there faster. So I want to keep this kind of short. I don't want to go too much longer. I know that's already too long probably for some of you. You're probably long gone and ditched the video. But if you're still here at the end, then you're the serious pool player that I like to work with. So if you have any questions or comments, you know I answer every one, and I want to help you guys learn. I really love you guys for sure. I mean, I want to see this game, promote this game. I want to see more people come into it. It's such a fascinating game to me, and I will help you get there. All you got to do is reach out. I'm very approachable. Now, the other thing too, if you thought this video was helpful to you, one of the things that helps my channel, you've got to do this for me, guys. You got to share this video, because I put these things together. Sometimes a 3-4 minute video will take me 14 hours to make. Okay, those little videos are quite involved, and that helps me when you share my videos. So always share my videos when you can, and also hit the thumbs up. That's a big help as well. Tell everybody about the channel. I'm trying to grow the channel. That's my reward. It's a win-win situation. I help you, you help my channel grow, and we all win, okay? Now, if you want to see another video, I try to do this at the end as well, give you something that's sort of relatable, and that video right there, wherever I'm going to put it, over here, I'll probably put it up here. So that video right there is going to be one that you want to check out next. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, like I always say, keep on practicing.